in this video, what I want to show you guys is a MAC flood attack. So let's say, for example, that we have connectivity to our switch. In this case, we do. And let me show you guys what are we going to be working with. All right. So I have my Linux computer attached to my switch, and the switch has been configured with a IP address, and my computer, my Linux computer, is also configured with a static IP address in the same network or the same subnet. So let's see what we have here. Okay, so let's do a show IP interface brief. All right. Okay, so I do have, this is the VLAN or the IP address for the default VLAN 1 in my switch, which is 192.168.0.2, and that's all I have. So let me go ahead and now, as far as my switch goes, okay, my switch had only learned about my computer because it's the only device connected to the switch. There is no device connected to the switch. I do not have a router connected to the switch. I do not have any other devices connected to the switch. Therefore, the only device that my switch has learned is about my computer MAC address, which is connected on Fast Ethernet 1. Okay, and my switch can hold, let's see, show MAC address count. My switch can hold up to 8,189 total MAC address space available, right? So right now my switch has only learned about one, right? It has learned dynamically about my computer MAC address, and it has a total MAC address count of 1. Perfect. Okay. Although my switch can handle up to 8,189 MAC address. Okay, this is a Catalyst 2950 series. This particular switch can hold up to 8,189 addresses. Okay, now if I bring my computer information so you guys can see what I'm talking about here, in my command line, my terminal for my Ubuntu computer, we can bring that up by typing the following command: ifconfig. Okay, and here guys, you can see that on my Ethernet port, which is the first one right here, I have the IP address of 192.168.0.99. Okay, my switch is also configured with the same IP address, but ending on, or this, not the same IP, but the same subnet. As you guys can see, my switch has the 192.168.0.2. Okay, now my MAC address is the Ethernet port, or the NIC, the network interface card MAC address. Burning MAC address is this one right here, which ends on 8A to 8. Okay, and that's exactly what my switch has learned so far. Okay, now the MAC address flooding attack. So what will happen is that I will deploy my Linux machine with a specific tool called MACoff, and I'm going to bombard my switch with bogus or fake MAC addresses to the point that my switch will be overwhelmed with MAC address. And you guys, as you know, the way switches route traffic is by learning MAC addresses on a specific port, and therefore it will move traffic accordingly. If I have a traffic or I have a frame that is destined to a specific MAC address, then I know that my switch will route that particular frame towards that particular port in which the computer is connected to. But once I deploy this attack, I'm gonna bombard and I'm gonna flood my switch with bogus or fake MAC addresses to the point that my switch is going to then start acting as a hub. My MAC address table will be full and it's gonna be overwhelmed to the point that the switch is gonna then open all ports and all traffic will be sent out to all ports. It's gonna act more like a hub, because after my MAC address space gets full, then every single frame is gonna be treated as a unknown unicast, and that will be then flooded out to all ports. At which point, me, the attacker, I will be able to listen or sniff every traffic, or I will be able to see every single frame in the network I'm connected to. So let's see how that works. So again, this is the only MAC address that my switch has learned dynamically, which is my computer. Now, what will happen if, and this is the available space, now what will happen if I take my computer and deploy the attack? Again, we need to be with elevated rights, so sudo mac off the interface, which is EN01. All right, and let me just demonstrate with just a few fake MAC addresses. So I will, let's say 20. Put my password, and I forgot to put the N for number. All right, now I just send a few of fake MAC address. Now if I go back to my switch and I show the count, now my switch believes that it has a total MAC address or total of 10 devices connected to it. Now notice how my switch has also decreased the amount of space available. Okay, and that was just a handful of frames that I sent to this switch from my single computer. Now if I show again the table, look, now you can see, guys, that my switch has learned about or believe that all of these computers are connected to it on the same interface, because that's where my computer is actually connected, which is this one. But look, now he believes that he has a total of 14, but that's not the case. Okay, now let's clear that with the command of clear MAC address table and dynamic, because these are the ones that the switch learned dynamically. Now after that, if I try to see the count, okay, now my CAM table or my MAC address table is empty. In order to populate, I will ping my switch and I have connectivity. That's good. I'm gonna end that. Now let's see if my switch has learned about my computer. And indeed it has. Okay, now my switch is in normal operation, no problem. But if I go back to my computer, I'm going to send unlimited amount of traffic. Alright, so now my computer is just sending fake MAC addresses to my switch, to the point that my switch is gonna become overwhelmed. It's gonna fill the MAC address table and it's going to start acting as a hub. Enable me to then be able to deploy a sniffing tool, and I can see all traffic in my network. I will be able to sniff traffic and performing a successful MAC flood attack. I'm gonna stop that because by now I believe I have already exhausted the amount of MAC address that I can. And indeed I had. My switch became overwhelmed and it filled very quickly the MAC address table. Now from now on, every single computer that will try to send traffic to the switch is going to be, or that particular frame is going to be flooded all ports, and me, the attacker, will be able to sniff on that traffic, and that is a successful MAC flood attack. Now, how can we prevent that from happening? That's what we're going to do next.